Silence inhibit, what the? It is time for System Test 3 with the Firelite ES-50X demonstration system. The last two system tests were a couple of years ago at this point, so a little bit has changed on this board. Specifically, I have a monitor module now for a conventional pull station or other kind of switch point. The addressable devices are still the same. This is still a BG12-LX. This is still an SD-365. The ANN100 is still here, and hooked up to this monitor module, I have my BG12L. I think this is one of the first devices I ever got, and it is a pretty nice pull station. I originally wanted a zone interface module, or what I thought was a zone interface module, because I didn't know zone interface modules existed, and I thought you could hook up smoke detectors to these monitor modules. So I do have a conventional smoke detector. Actually, I have two of them. But I do have one that I wanted to put here, but I was not able to, unfortunately, when I got this. And so I'm going to have to get a zone interface module someday, and then I think I'm going to get a mini module for this, put it in the back, and then take this off of here and replace it with the zone interface module. But that's for a future time. The ES-50X, as I said, is the panel powering the system. I have updated the banner to say Slender system, as you can see. Anyway, the notification appliances on the system are system sensor HGWL-LF, low frequency sounder horn only units. So these are the L series low frequency sounder horns. These are still in production. I think these came out in 2019-ish, because the L series line of devices came out in 2017, but they were still using the advanced low frequency sounders for a while. And then these eventually came out in like 2019, 2020. They are set to coded low volume, but they are pretty loud. I think that's one thing about low frequency sounders. They seem to be quite loud from my experience testing them. I suppose the frequency of sound they produce is just meant to be very striking to wake people up. Because if you're not aware, that's what these devices are actually for. They produce a low tone that you will hear when we set off the system that is meant to be used in sleeping areas, so it'll wake people up in a fire. But why horn-only units? Well, I don't know why they sell these, or at least I didn't until I looked it up. Basically, in areas where strobe coverage is adequate, but horn coverage is inadequate, they will put these or other kinds of horn-only units. The other situation could be that a visual indicator is not required. If it's in an area where people with hearing disabilities will not be going there, then you don't need to have a strobe in there if it's a room that's not meant for people with hearing disabilities. So that is why these kind of devices exist and are available for sale and are made by System Sensor and other companies. Because these are set to coded, which is a setting on the back, there's a little selector wheel thing you can select. I think these have continuous code 3 and code 4 for carbon monoxide, but I don't have any carbon monoxide devices hooked up here, so I'm not going to set it to that. But because it's set to coded and they are only horns and not horn strobes, I have the opportunity to code them from the panel. So we're just going to go into the default programming menu. I think it's called technician level programming, actually, because there's also maintenance programming, but that's not what this is. Let's go to the system setup and go to NACs. And these are on NAC 1, which I'm pretty sure this is NAC 1. So we'll go to NAC 1, type horn, enabled yes, silenceable yes, auto silence none. Coding march time. Okay, cool enough. I'm fine with that. We'll start off with march time, which is very unusual to hear on modern horns like this because nowadays the standard is temporal 3. Just to make things interesting here, We'll start off with this conventional pull station because it is the new device on the system. And I think we'll start off with the annunciator to control the system. All right, 3, 2, 1. Because this is a Firelite system and we're using Firelite pull stations, we'll just use the exact same key to unlock and reset the pull station. This is a 17003 key. While the system is in alarm, we can see it says alarm monitor conventional pull because that is what the monitor module is. And it is not 127, nor is it January 1st, 2018. It's just every time you turn this thing off, the date and time get reset, and I don't feel like changing them. Because today is all about coding these horns, and the fact that they're just horns anyway, we will be doing a different coding option for each alarm that we do. So, I'm going to change the coding on the panel, and then we will start with the BG12LX after I am done. Okay, a new coding option has been set. Everybody's favorite, continuous. No, it's not everybody's favorite, but if we're doing coding options, come on, you have to do continuous. I mean, who doesn't do continuous if you're coding through the panel and you're using horns? All right, so here we go, continuous. I'll make sure to silence this pretty quickly. Silence inhibit, what the? Are you kidding me? I don't know how that happened. Okay, so we're back up and running and we're initialized. That was a little unintended demonstration of silence inhibit there, but I didn't even mean to turn that on, so I don't even know how that happened. So I'm going to show you going in here, and we're going to see if we can find how that got turned on. Okay, we're on NAC 1. Silenceable? Yes. Enabled? Auto silence coding steady. There's no silence inhibit. 3. No. No, it's yes. Oh, silence inhibit, yes. I didn't even think, why, no. All right, and then while we're here, we'll change the coding to, let's do California code. I have no idea what that is, but we'll find out. All right, we're all set to test the third device here, the SD365, yeah. I have some Smoke Centurion. Give it a nice spray. It's clearly contemplating something. Okay, well that's quite an interesting coding option. That's very interesting. I think I vaguely remember that from watching people's videos over the years, but it's nice to have a refresher on what that coding option actually is. I don't exactly know the purpose of it because I have not studied the California fire alarm code, but I suppose let's air this detector out a little bit. Of course, we're going to get a trouble. But here it is, the SD365. Okay, that is enough airing out, I think. I like how these Firelite smoke detectors actually do have the ability to pull green, but for whatever reason, light speed still pulls red, not green. I don't know why that's the case. Firelite's addressable protocols just all pull red, whereas notifiers and silent nights and even, I think, Gamewells pull green. At least when they're not clip, but it's just kind of unnecessary. I think that's just it initializing. I don't think it's actually activated again, but we'll try resetting. What? You are a disgrace. All right, I've aired it out some with this cheap fan. Let's try a reset again. Hopefully it's willing. While we are here, we're going to set the final coding option. And given that we've already done, what? Continuous, California code, March time. The only logical option left for us to code these horns is good old temporal 3. I mean, I guess there's 2 stage, but I don't feel like running this thing for 3 minutes. There we go. Code 3. And actually, I shouldn't shut the panel, because you might realize we have activated every device on the board. So at this point, we're going to end off the video the good old-fashioned fire drill. Let's reset. So if you saw there, my ES-50X is still on an older firmware from 2019, and I am likely going to keep it on that firmware because of a few reasons. First of all, I don't know if this is confirmed or not. I actually really don't know anything about this, but NFPA now does not really want audible silence on horn strobes or strobes, so when the fire alarm system is silenced, the strobes should turn off. Before, I don't know what year when this verdict was come upon, but it was allowed to have the strobes continue flashing even when the horns were silenced. And I honestly think it was more of just like an, oh, look at this cool feature display thing. You can have it still continue strobes flashing. Goodie. But it's really unnecessary and is kind of stupid. But I still want to have that option. So let me know in the comments, does the new firmware for Firelite panels or Honeywell panels in general remove the option to have audible silence on the strobes? The other thing is, newer firmware for Honeywell panels is requiring you to change the default passcode, or else it'll give you like a passcode default trouble. I am not interested in changing the passcode. I really don't feel like it, and I really don't care. Unless there's some feature that I find out I really need, then I'll update the firmware. But for now, it's going to stay on a firmware from 2019. Well, anyway, thank you guys for watching this third system test of this board. It is a very nice little board, and I think this panel is a very nice mix of accessibility and convenience, ease of use, and yet it still has plenty of features packed into it. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel down below. I do have the voice evacuation stuff coming in a future system test. That will be the next system test with voice evacuation. I actually today finished the website for the software I'm going to be using for the voice evacuation, because I'm going to be using that laptop, as I had said before, and I'm going to connect it to an audio interface, which is going to go to this amp here, and it's a PA amplifier. And then it will go to some speaker strobes that I showcased in my previous video on my Christmas presents I received this year. So like this video if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't like it, and be on the lookout for the next video. If you want to see the website, if you want to download the software and use it yourself, you can go to sts.slenderstudios.com. That is the software I have developed for my voice evacuation system, and if you want to use it too, you can. I will also at some point be publishing a tutorial on how to hook up the panel to the computer with a USB joystick gamepad board thing. So look out for those videos coming soon, but thank you for watching this video, and have a nice day.